Uh, but anyway, thank you for joining today. This is Vlogmas Day 21, and Vanessa is joining me. I've been really excited to talk to you because I know I asked you a bit ago, but just you're so active on Instagram and with the STEM community, and I find, yeah, I'm very inspired every time I see your posts or your stories and things like that. And I know you're super involved, and so I just wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit more, and what you're doing, and what drives you, and how you're experiencing COVID and working from home. And because let's see, you've got your Instagram that takes a lot of time. You've got a full-time job
Yes.
as an engineer. You've got your personal life. I know you're married. I think I've seen some posts on that.
Yes.
So, I mean, it seems to me like you're a super busy person. Do you feel like you're a busy person?
Um, so I do and I don't. I know this sounds kind of weird because I feel like I'm busy, but I think like once you've become accustomed to it, it becomes your normal. And even my husband also, like how you mentioned, yeah, I'm married, so it's funny. He's like, how are you if I were to do all the things you do, I would go crazy. Like, but I think it's the fact that like I've always been involved in, like, even when I was in high school, I would be involved in like a dance club, but then I would be involved in like some like academic groups, and then I would be taking AP classes, and I would just be so involved in so many things that if I think like I haven't fully stopped, so it's not really like if I ever took like a full on break, like I think it would be hard for me to get back into the groove of doing multiple things at once. And I think yeah, I feel like it is pretty busy, but it's also my norm, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
And it's probably fulfilling. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing all these different things that you're doing. Um, so what drives you when it comes to your Instagram, and you're a bit of an activist on Instagram, and you're really supportive of women and science and girls in science. And so what is it that keeps you going and makes you want to do that and be involved in that space? Was it something that got you into it, or just, well, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So when I first started posting like on Instagram, it actually was more of my personal page, and occasionally I would post about like engineering related. And it wasn't actually until maybe the end of last year slash this year that I like really pushed forward of like, okay, I really want to be vocal about women in STEM because I really did not see many role models growing up. I didn't even know that this career was possible for me. So that's what really drove me. And then once I started seeing more women in engineering, like outside of like my local area, I was like, this is so cool. Like I want everyone's just so amazing. And so I think what drives me is the inspiration of others. Like I just seeing everybody. Like I've seen your posts, and like, you know, just seeing what you do also inspires me. And also it's not the vanity like metrics that like people talk about, like the likes or anything, the followers or anything like that. It's definitely like the DMs of people saying like, oh, like I got inspired by this, or this is so cool, like can you tell me more? Because they're not, those people who are DMing you aren't always going to be posting and commenting like out in public on the post. The people who are reaching out to me privately is what really drives me as well. um and before the pandemic, like I was involved, I'm involved still actually in ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers, which you are pretty familiar with. But I would go to K through 12 outreach events, and just seeing the kids' faces whenever you're teaching them engineering, it's like that's what really kept me going. And I've been doing that through my involvement. And so I think the fact that everything became virtual, like I wanted another way to still hopefully promote, girls in STEM. And I think that's what really continued to drive me as of now.
Yeah, there's a Sally Ride quote, which I used to quote a lot, and I'm going to get it wrong if I try, but it's like you have to see someone in order to like know that that's a possibility and like a career path for you. If you don't see it, you don't even know it exists. It's like it's in your blind spot. So yeah, I have a similar I guess way that I got into it, which was it was my personal Instagram, and everybody kept asking me about these cool projects. And also, I thought they were really cool. And so I was like, everyone else should see these awesome things. That like, this is what a pump station looks like. Who knew? um, but similarly, I think and I'm not nearly as active as I was a few years ago. But what always really inspires me is when somebody messages me and sometimes it's, hey, I saw you're in the city, go check this out. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm glad you told me about it. Or I sometimes get posts or messages from people that are just like having a really hard day at their jobs. I'm dealing with, whatever it is they're dealing with that day. And they've reached out for some sort of, connection or, hey, have you ever felt this way in your job? And so I don't always check my messages every day, but every time I get something like that, I make sure to go back in and check in on them. Like, hey, how's it going? Like, we've all been there. Like, even though it looks really fun to like do these jobs, and I mean, I have a lot of fun at my job. I still have days where I get off work and I'm like, I just want to sit down and watch like stand-up comedy and not think about anything or talk to anyone.
I just
But
want to enjoy life.
yeah. Yeah, so that's why I go back to it. And I kind of go in phases. I'll get like really inspired and I'll do like a bunch of posts, and then there'll be a couple months that I'm just like so busy at work that I don't post.
That's okay, right? Like it doesn't have to be constant. And I think that's like the thing about social media too, that we feel rushed, but we don't have to constantly do that. And I think it's totally fine that you're like, okay, I have to step back from it. Like work is what's been, keeping you busy, and like being able to focus sometimes on other things like besides social media is totally fine. Like I think definitely like that's normal.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about, you're a mechanical engineer, right?
Civil.
You're civil. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
ASCE. Why did I think you were mechanical?
Okay.
You, you're civil, you're more on the structural side?
I'm more on the transportation side, but my company does work on a lot of structural bridges. So we're known for bridges.
Okay. Um, Tell me a little bit about like what does your day look like? What do you do today? Because I know this is your lunch break. Like, what did your morning look like?
Well, it's kind of funny because right now it's not as exciting. I wish I could tell you that I'm building something massively like, oh, this is gonna be so cool. You're gonna wish you could ride this or see it. I'm working on ADA ramps. Um, American Disabilities Act is what ADA stands for, and it's basically just curb ramps. So I know that doesn't sound as exciting, but it's important.
Yeah, it's super important, like the accessibility. And I mean, that is kind of like what's interesting about being in civil engineering and like really inspiring is that you're building something that somebody out there is going to use, and just, being like you get to design something that is inclusive to people with disabilities, or just, making somebody's life easier. And so like at the end of the day, that's what you put forward in the world. And I think that's really awesome, even
Yeah,
though
and
it
I,
might
I
just be like design calculations.
yeah, and that's why like I I try to also talk about like it doesn't always have to be super extravagant of what you're working on. Definitely like I still enjoy it. Like I do like that what I'm working on, like the ADA ramps is helping somebody, but it's not gonna be like and I think sometimes when it comes to like engineering, like some people think like, oh, I have to build like this super incredible like Iron Man style thing to be like a cool engineer. It's like you're cool by helping people. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. And the nice part about civil engineering, I feel like, is there's not just one person that's a superstar person that just like designed this whole roadway. It's like so many people that come together. You've got your modelers, you got somebody who's you like knows the regulations and the permitting and the environmental aspects and drainage and like all these different things that come together. And so it's like, I don't know, it's really great. It's like inspiring to me to have this teamwork, this like multidisciplinary team that is building something that then gets built in real life. And people get to like actually use and drive on. And
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's something that also, I guess you reminded me of how people think like, oh, engineers, like you don't have to work with other people, and like you're just like
Nope.
antisocial, and you just mentioned like it's all about the teamwork, and you're really, especially as civil engineers, we're not just working with our direct team, but sometimes we work with clients, sometimes we, talk to the public about these types of projects. So it's definitely not antisocial, no talking to people type of career.
Yeah, I think as we transform into more of these digital services and digital solutions that we do, it becomes even more complicated. Like maybe 50 years ago, somebody could sit down and like draw up a plan for a roadway, but now there's just so many components and pieces that one person couldn't possibly like be the expert in all of that. And so one of the things that I promoted a lot when I was a few years ago, when I was more active in like the STEM community, was, it's not just like an engineer sitting in a cubicle working by themselves. Like this is a career path that's all about people skills and teamwork and writing and how you communicate. And so you don't just have to be good at math and science. Like I basically do no math or science in my job anymore. but,
And I
yeah.
think that's something that, like is very important to talk about. And I think it's great that you're talking about it because that is something that people like kind of think that engineers do. It says, oh, I'm not good at math and science. And it like hurt me sometimes when like kids would say that like to my face when I'm trying to convince them like, hey, like, do you want to learn engineering? Like, do you want to be an engineer? Like, I'm not good at math. I'm like, no, come back. like,
All right. So you got like firsthand experience too with your volunteering and helping out at schools to talk to kids. And how did you get into engineering then? And what made you decide to be a civil versus any other sort of engineer?
So I I didn't really decide until like the end of high school, really. I know that's really late. Because I did like math and science and honestly, I think I had so many different interests that like I just didn't know what to pick and I had such a hard time like deciding on what exactly I should be for the rest of my life.
It's a hard decision. It's a big decision.
So I think it's the point where like I kind of procrastinated and you're like, I really don't know. Like, can I just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna pick a like when I applying to colleges. I think in junior years when you do it, and I think I just picked like I don't know. I think I did economics or like finance, and I honestly had no clue what exactly I wanted to do. And I did get into a couple of universities, but family stuff happened, and it was just better for me to attend community college and just let myself figure it out. And a family friend through an organization that I was involved in, which is a Philippine American Culture Society. And that's when I started to get a little bit also more familiar with my culture as well. He knew, one of the guys, the uncles there knew that I was interested in math and science. And he's like, oh, have you considered engineering? And I was like, no, what's that? Like, I don't really know what they do. So from there, I took an intro to like a general intro to engineering class at my community college after high school. And I know this is like typical, but a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, like I picked civil engineering because I wanted to be a structural engineer. And that's kind of along the lines of where like, oh, structural engineering sounds really cool. But as I took more and more civil engineering courses, I really enjoyed general civil. And that's why actually out of college, I worked in land development, which was general civil. And now I'm in transportation, but I still feel like I do a lot of general civil design as well. Long story.
Yeah, no, it was good. Do you ever talk to the person, I don't know if he's like a friend or a mentor who recommended engineering and like talk about like where you are today and how he seeded that thought and that idea?
I talked to him when I transferred, but I haven't talked to him in a long time, which is probably I really should. Because I've moved around since then, so it has been a little difficult, but I definitely think about, like how he's impacted, my direction for sure and realizing like wow, like if he hadn't like mentioned it to me, I probably wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that resonates with so many people. Like, what we end up choosing, somebody like told, like put that idea in our head, and then also said, like, you're gonna be really good at this. Like, this is you, and this is why you'll like it. And like for me, it was, my dad and my family, there's a lot of engineers. So I knew engineering was a thing, but I was definitely also like sort of pushed in that direction of like, you're really good at this. And I think you'll really like this.
And I think that's important too, like having somebody who believes in you.
Yeah, for sure. So you had a post the other day, actually, this might have been a couple of weeks ago, where I think it was something along the lines of, sometimes the job isn't like super sexy and good pictures of like a laboratory science or something, but like this is like it's super fun and this is like the career that was meant for me. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like what inspired that and what those feelings were?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really funny when like I was like writing that because like the way that my thought process with posts a lot of the times it just comes out of nowhere and it just like I have to write this down. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but I'm gonna have to write this thought down. And I think I might have been watching like either TikTok or like going through Instagram and I'm seeing all these beautiful images and like I was also looking at like how some of my older posts like I would be at a construction site and that would get tons of likes and stuff and then I don't go on site all the time so it's not as like super cool looking or I don't have like a fancy lab coat or like I'm not in like a laboratory or anything like that and I'm just like wondering like how can I show people what I do even though the photo doesn't show like how what exactly I do or what I'm creating and I think that's where my thought process came in of I'm doing stuff in AutoCAD and that doesn't always sound as interesting to some people. I'm doing calculations on Excel like not everybody likes Excel. I can't if I showed you a picture if I posted a picture of Excel and CAD like that would get like probably not many likes
You
and
would
comments.
think that one of my biggest, like, highest viewed posts was one of just like, I think it was a pipeline on a drawing, which is like to me is the boringest drawing because it's just like a like two lines that go across. And I had like the ruler there and I took a photo of it. Um, for what I don't even know what I posted. I was just like, this is what I'm doing today and been doing for 12 hours. And it got so many likes, and I was like, why is everybody like so into this drawing that I think is like a boring drawing? And I talked to one of my good friends who's in Austin too, and I was like, why did you like it? And she was like, because like I got to see what you were actually doing. Like normally it's just like, like a post or like something that's construction, but like you could actually see that you were doing something that day.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
So,
awesome then.
so people might like your AutoCAD. I would still probably be like, oh, it's some pipes. There's
Well, that's a good point. Like I honestly like wasn't sure or like I felt like like it's sometimes it's just like the image that people like really like and that's like, oh, it's so cool, so glamorous and that's like it's not going to be like that every single day though, right? Like not every day. Some days you're just like this and you're like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Like what did I mess up in? Like but that doesn't stop me from doing the job that I'm doing, right? Or that like whenever you have like a bad day, it doesn't stop you from doing what you're doing. And I think that's also like kind of what made me think of like it's not glamorous and sometimes it's difficult, but you know what? We're doing it.
doing it. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say it also could be the algorithm. I find when you have like a picture of your face on Instagram, it gets way more views because I think it's just like in people's feeds more. Which to me, I'm like, man, the my cool content is the stuff that doesn't have me in it. But like the things people are seeing are the ones that have me in it.
That's
But yeah, so tell me about your holiday plans. It's a weird year. I'm just hanging out at home by myself this holiday. What do your plans look like?
I feel like it's not as exciting either. It's mostly staying at home. I mean, I have my husband and my family's like pretty close, so but we aren't doing like the big giant family get together like we typically do. I have a really big family on both sides, and we also typically would see my husband's family as well, and it's all gonna be via Zoom. So it's not a typical holiday year, but we're doing the best that we can. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned, but my husband's a nurse, and so it's also best not to bring other people around because he recently is working, or his unit recently turned into a COVID unit, so it's best to keep our distance overall.
Yeah, just for safety. That's awesome that he's able to help out though, and I'm sure you're super proud of him and everything he's been doing. Yeah, just I think, back in March we were all trying to figure out like how can we help? How can we like do more stuff? And I run this innovation program, and so I saw a lot of ideas come in that was like, how can we take our advanced facilities and convert them to vaccine facilities? Or how can we, for a while we were doing these studies with these, we call them academic partners, but universities, where we were taking the wastewater and like testing it for COVID, so you could kind of see like which cities had an outbreak. But of course, none of that's like frontline and like, doing nursing and being there. And yeah, so I'm glad he gets to do that, and you guys get to be a part of that.
No, I like you just reminded me of it does make me think like what else can I do because I'm not in the healthcare field at all. And I think really it's like it was just trying to stay home as much as possible. I think that's the best thing, or like trying to limit your interactions. And I know it's definitely difficult for a lot of people, and it's it's hard, especially since it's the holidays, but if you can try to, limit meeting up with other people is the best thing that we really can do outside of healthcare.
Yeah. So tell me, what is your favorite holiday tradition?
Oh, my favorite holiday tradition. This is so hard because like my favorite is meeting up with my family, so that kind of
Out this year.
yeah, it's out the window
But
right
that could be
now.
your favorite tradition.
That's like my favorite part of the holidays, but I guess like now, right now, it's just being able to, watch Christmas movies. Like that's one of my favorite things. Like whenever it's the holidays, I'm watching like Home Alone 2, like a bajillion times. Like it doesn't matter how many times I've already seen it, like years past, or like you watched it yesterday. No, I'm gonna watch it again. So I think watching like good old Christmas movies are my favorite holiday traditions.
Which one is Home Alone, Panda Express?
I don't think I watched that one. I watched Elf.
Okay.
Uh I recently got into like this is like super cheesy, but I think it's like the one with Vanessa Hudgens, The Switch or something.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I watched it like maybe a couple weeks ago, and then I watched like Switch 2, and I'm just like, okay, like I'm just gonna keep watching like on Disney Plus like all the different like Christmas movies, no matter how corny they are.
Okay, I'll have to put that in my watch list for something to do on Christmas.
Yeah.
Switch and Switch 2. What are the other ones? Christmas Story is like okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I watched do you like Anna Kendrick?
Yes.
On Disney Plus, I watched Noelle, and like her quirkiness just is my favorite thing ever.
Okay, so I'll have to get a Disney Plus subscription for all of these. Yeah, I love all Anna Kendrick stuff. She had one movie, I don't remember what the name of it is. It's just like her and this other couple. Oh, I'm not going to remember the plot at all. It was just like these two couples, and I think they end up like switching partners by the end or something. It's a rom-com, but she's like super quirky and weird, and I love that movie.
I'm gonna have to look. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look which one that is because I'm not sure if I've seen that one. But I love Anna Kendrick and her just. I know it's her like her acting personality, but also like her real. I feel like her real personality kind of comes out, but like the quirkiness, and I'm just like, yes, I love her.
Yeah, it definitely shines through. I was watching the Zac Efron documentary, and in one of the episodes, he's like at some fancy LA place, like trying their water. I think it was like about water.
About that.
And he's like taste testing the water, and Anna Kendrick's there because she was just like the friend that he brought. She was like way more interesting than Zac Efron. I was like, I'm so glad she's here for this.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. Cute.
I'm gonna have to watch that. I like haven't I saw like previews of it, but I haven't watched the one with Zac Efron, and I'm just like, I think I saw like somebody post that scene, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this.
It's interesting. So, I mean, he basically has my dream job where he just like goes and sees like geothermal plants and like makes jokes and it like points out whatever about the geothermal and then talks about like the science behind it and the over. I was like, I would totally do this for a living. Just like show up in Iceland and look at the geothermal plant, or like show up in Paris and look at their water fountains.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that like I've noticed. It like makes me think like, how do they cast? How did they decide Zac Efron's it? Like he's the one.
Yeah, he's the face of water. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay, so favorite holiday cookie then?
Favorite holiday cookie? Oh, I don't know if I have a favorite holiday cookie. I think if favorite holiday dessert
Okay.
um would have to be um this is not like specifically for Christmas. I know this sounds really lame. But I love it when my family would bring flan to the Christmas parties. So flan it's just I think you know flan, right? I think a lot of people
Fun.
know flan.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like one of my favorite desserts. Because it's definitely like before years ago, my grandma would make it, and now my mom makes it. So it's one of my favorite Christmas holiday desserts. So definitely gonna ask for that this Christmas.
It's fun. You could do like a Zoom baking and like they make it on their side, you make it at the same time.
That would be fun. I wish. Yeah, I think I need to do something along those lines because I need to learn how to cook more food.
Yeah. I sometimes go into phases where I cook so much and I'm like always making like baking or doing something. I've been doing pizza lately. And then I'll have like months where it's just like eating very little. Like I'm eating like the tortilla shells out of my fridge because I just like need something to snack on. I'm like in a
Whatever
rush.
works.
Yeah, so either love the high life or I'm like definitely a bachelor.
I'm I'm not the best cook. So that's what my husband thank
Mm,
you for him.
yep.
I'm definitely impressed by what he can cook.
Yeah. Yep. You have many talents, just baking is probably not one of them.
No. I wish it was. I really do wish it was, but I've tried and it's not so great.
Okay, so one more question. Um, what is your favorite holiday? Just you can just describe it, but like, what is your favorite holiday ornament from this
My
year?
favorite this year?
Yeah, do you have a tree with ornaments?
Yes. So this year, actually, this is like super corny, but so for ASCE, our local chapter, we typically host a holiday party, and we couldn't do it in person this year, so we did a virtual one, and I really wanted to give our members something special. And again, it's like super corny because like I made it myself. It's not the best. I am not
Is this
like
up with your baking skills or more like?
it's better than my baking skills. I Things burn there. But yeah, so I got like these Amazon like clear ornaments, and I put a bunch of the tinsel, like just some pretty tinsel, and bought some. It actually have the paint here. It's kind of hard to see, but I bought some paints from like Walmart, and I painted ASCE on the little ornaments, and we gave it to all our members that registered, and that was my favorite because I made it.
Yes. Did you get to see any photos of like people who put them up?
People, not really photos, but like when we had our holiday party, I asked like, did everybody receive a surprise? And like some people held theirs up, or like it was like in the background of their tree, and I'm like, that just makes me happy. Like it doesn't have to be like expensive or anything like that. It just made me happy that like, hey, like you guys enjoyed it and are using it. So I know it's really cheesy.
No, that's awesome. I love that you like made ornaments. I like, and also it has that personal touch. So I know if I had received an ornament, like that's definitely going on my tree.
I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I have any other
Put
material
me on
because
the
like
mailing
what
list. Put me on the mailing list.
I need. Oh, I wish I brought more. I actually felt so bad because, um, on our holiday party, like I already bought a bunch of material. I was like, okay, 40 should be enough, like for the material. And then like we were like approaching 41, and that was including myself. I was like, can we close the registration for like the boxes? I'm so sorry. Like I ran out of material, and like the secretary who was in who does the registration, he's like, I'm sure like you don't have to send me one either. Like if we run out, like it's totally fine. And we like barely got one extra person. And I felt so bad. I was like, I really like thought like 40 would be enough. Like
Yeah, no,
uh,
but that's good that more people registered.
yeah, yeah. I mean like only about 25, 30 actually attended, but at the
Okay.
same time, it happens. Even in our in-person events, there's usually more registrants than people who actually attend. But the fact that like I ran out of material was like surprising to me. I was not expecting that.
People, yeah. No. I'm trying to think of what my favorite ornament would be this year. I was reading this Reddit post about this guy. It was his first Christmas. He's Muslim, and so it was his anthropological view on Christmas. And he had posted an ornament of it's just like an everything bagel and was like, and this is what I've learned about your keeper ornaments. This is my keeper ornament for this year. But it costs more than 3 dozen bagels put together. I was like, yes, I want a bagel ornament for my tree.
There you go. Did you
Yeah,
get
right
one?
now it's just like all cats.
Oh, okay. Nice. You're gonna have to add a bagel, everything bagel.
Cats and everything bagel, yeah. Yeah, I'm living up to my cat lady plans and like with my
Oh,
tree.
there's nothing wrong with that. If you just reminded me of T Swift, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with T Swift and her all her cats.
Yeah. Have you heard her new album?
I have. I need to listen to it more often. I've been switching between Christmas music and her album, but I definitely feel like I need to listen to it more.
I haven't a whole lot. So I listened to it one night a couple times through, and I liked Folklore, the one that came out this summer, a little bit better. And so anytime I like go to listen to the new one, I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to the old one. I put it back on again.
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to like once you like know because I think every album that she like puts out is like amazing, but I'm like the old school T Swift. I like her like past like Red and like 1989, like her older like stuff is like where I like really hit home.
Aw, that's what my best friend loves T Swift, which is how I got into like listening to her. But she definitely has had this progression of like pop country to pop to alternative to now like folk, I guess, would you call it? Uh, but my
Yeah.
favorite's the in Folklore, the one she does with Bon Iver, which is
Mhm.
like Exile is what it's called. I could just listen to that like on repeat.
There you
Have you
go.
heard? So, okay. Well, I guess I'll let you get back to your day, but this has been awesome, and I really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me, and yeah, I'm gonna edit it a little bit tonight, and then I'll put it onto my YouTube, and I'll send you a link.
Yeah, well, it's great to like get to actually like know you as well. Like I feel like I've been following you for a while now, I think, right? Like I don't remember when I started following you, but I was like, oh, like she's also a civil engineer. Oh, look, like she has pups. Like that's like literally how I started following you. I was like, this is so cool. So keep posting those drawings of your pipes.
the boring pipe drawings. Yes, I probably have some sitting around here.
Yeah.
No, but and you like keep doing what you're doing. I love your posts, even though I'm not like posting as much. I always go in and I like see your stories and your posts and stuff. And yeah, you're doing some really cool stuff. And I just love how you're engaging with everybody and like, being an activist really out there in the STEM space. And I think that's awesome. And I'm glad you're getting to do that and that it's fulfilling for you. And I guess I'll talk to you later. I'll see you on Instagram.
Yes.
Message
Yes.
me whenever.
Happy Vlogmas.
Thanks. Happy talking to
Keep
you.
going. Like, more power to you too on that. I'm like, as much as you said, like, oh, how do you do like all this? Like, be busy. I'm like, I can't do what you're doing, so keep going.
Some of my videos are like 4 minutes, which surprisingly are probably the more interesting ones than me just rambling on for 15 minutes. But,
No, that's okay. Like, just put it out there, like you never know. Like, people can still like, enjoy drawing as the pipes, and they can enjoy 4 minutes to 15 minutes of conversation.
yep, for sure.
You never know if you don't put it out there, right?
Yep, that is true. I'm gonna think about that next time I'm posting a short video. I'll be like, Vanessa told me it was okay.
Well, I hope you have the great rest of your day. Merry early Christmas to you.
Yep. Merry Christmas to you too. I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.